Hey friends, so I decided that I'm gonna spice up my YouTube channel by looking for interesting places to make videos in front of. And where are we? This is an auto shop. It's a place that sells tires, rims and tires. It's an interesting backdrop. Along the way, I'm gonna go and buy dinner. I'm having McDonald's for dinner. I have given McDonald's a lot of money in my lifetime. I used to, I once tried to do the math and figure out if I've spent more at McDonald's or at Apple. And I think for most of my life it was McDonald's, but Apple is catching up, especially since I bought my wife a MacBook and it's like stuff like that. Anyway, what I want today's video to be about. I have a few possible topics. One is about most people as a concept. One is about authenticity. I made a thread about that earlier. I don't know if I want to get into that now. What do I feel like talking about? Authenticity? Maybe give me like 20 seconds to figure this out. Travel, walking, Warner Herzog. What's something I want to work through? Okay, let's talk about my book, about the stuff that I'm working on my book, which I have made several videos about, but it's always relevant. I haven't published the book yet, and as long as I am struggling with the book, and I say struggle in a not necessarily a pejorative way, right? Like it is all creative work. If it's interesting, you have to work through things that you don't know how to do and you're not quite sure what you're doing. And so there is struggle. It's a creative struggle. When you enjoy it as you're struggling, it's like working out. It's like you're getting exhausted and tired, and it's like, why are you subjecting yourself to this? But it feels good because you're challenging yourself and you're getting better and all of those things. And I was just telling my wife that I wonder if some part of me has been taking as long as I have, almost deliberately, as some kind of like experiment, as like a way of pushing myself to, not pushing myself, a way of almost forcing discomfort out of me. Because the book is about introspection. The book's about figuring yourself out and dealing with your unprocessed emotions and the ugly sides of you that you don't really like and parts of you that you deny. And while I started writing the book, I was in a pretty well-adjusted and healthy headspace. And it's almost like, how can you write about difficult things when you're in a well-adjusted and healthy headspace? And so I'm like, okay, maybe I have to and again, when I say I'm like, it's not all of me. It's like some part of me, another part of me thinks this is ridiculous, right? But some part of me thinks that, I should let myself get angry and upset and frustrated and see what happens and see how I deal with that. And it's meta, right? It's about the book. And another part of me is like, well, if you're struggling with the book, maybe you're not qualified to write it, right? But I know as a reader that I would rather read a book about this stuff from someone who struggled than someone for whom this stuff is just effortless. Like it's so easy for them to glide through life. The good things about me were hard fought. They didn't come easily for me. I wasn't born with it. I had to struggle my way here. And talking about that struggle is itself a struggle. And articulating it well to other people is also a struggle. Each of those things compounds in difficulty. And I am very eager and excited to finish the book. But I have, it's also I noticed that when I am frustrated with myself for not having finished the book yet, and I'm just generally kind of annoyed with myself and whatever, that I project that outwards and I witness myself getting annoyed with the inaction of other people, whatever they're doing. It's interesting because the things that annoy me about other people, while I'm projecting my inwardly directed annoyance outwards, it's not like I'm hallucinating fake things to get mad about. The things that annoy me, that I see annoying me, are real. They are real issues. I become more sensitive to my friends being A, B, or C when I am being A, B, or C, and it's not incorrect. It's not false. I'm not making it up. And this seems consistent with my understanding of PMS in that a lot of women experience. And from just talking to my wife, talking to my female friends, watching TV and stuff, it's when the person is kind of grumpier and more irritable, or like, you know, when you have back pain, right, or whatever it is, you're just in discomfort. It's not like you invent things to get mad about. Rather, your tolerance for friction is lower, and so the things that you normally tolerate, you now find harder to tolerate. But they are real things. They are real issues that you normally just kind of deal with, process. You know, it's like you normally get out of someone's way, and this time you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna get out of your way. And then you bump, and then you're like, what? You're gonna fight? You know? And it's like, yeah, was that manufactured? It's real, and to some degree, I wonder if some part of me, it's like, you know, I'm so nice and kind and friendly all the time. That's my energy, right? That's my persona. It's real. I am a really friendly, kind person, and like everyone who's met me in real life is like, oh, you are exactly what I expected you to be based on your Twitter and your YouTube and so on. But it, you know, this is slightly, there's a bit of a showmanship element. It's like being on stage, and I've been talking about this in multiple dimensions recently. It was like all Twitter feels like being in a comedy club with a small intimate crowd, whereas my main Twitter, which now has 30,000 followers, feels like a on-stage performance for a large, you know, like a ballroom kind of sized venue. And I am myself on both stages, but there's a different dynamic that plays out. In the crowd response is different, the call and response is different, ebb and flow is different, which is kind of what I was trying to talk about in my thread about authenticity today. Anyway, I am very much interested in finishing my book this month, and yeah, but at the same time, I do feel like talking about this is helpful, and so I'm going to keep talking about it. And another thing that I kind of want to close with maybe is that, I mean, I don't know if I want to close with it, but I think that's on my mind was that one of the painful things about writing a book when you are in the early stages of it and it's not like material that you've worked through and workshopped for years and years is when, you know, you start writing and you explore this huge area, and then you realize that while it was interesting and it was useful, you can't squeeze that entire thing into the book. It's not relevant to the story itself directly. It's like a footnote. It's like it should go in the appendix, right? And yeah, I think footnotes and appendices are a pretty useful way of kind of shoving a story, making sure that the spine of the story is clearly articulated, right? Because if it's just nebulous, it usually doesn't work. That's the fun of making videos outside. You get to hear all these random shit. I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for hanging out. Done.